What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Screenheads TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of last night's Better Call Saul. That's going to be Season 3, Episode 2, titled Witness. Okay, man, I love this show. Every episode gets better. Here's what I'll say. The prior two seasons really don't get the ball rolling and start to get you really excited until about episode 4. I mean, they do have things sprinkled that are really great stuff before episode 4. But I wouldn't say that it really gets going until 4 or 5, and then it even, it's a slow start, you know what I mean? But last night's was moving, I feel. I feel like we moved along faster than we have before, and I had a feeling this season was going to pick up the pace a little bit more. Season 3 of Breaking Bad started to pick up the pace a little bit. And not to say that this has to follow, the same formula as Breaking Bad, but it seems that Vince Gilligan has a certain storytelling format, like most great storytellers do. And his seems to be a 5-season arc where we got 1 and 2 introduction, 3 is like climax, we're picking it up, and then 4, we're still here, but we're starting to go down, and then 5, we go down to the conclusion. And it works. It worked for Breaking Bad. It's working for Saul, I feel. So, let's get into last night's episode. Oh, man. Alright, so I'll try and touch on the character, what was going on in each character's story arc, the best I can. Let's start with Saul. And I'm going to say this every video until I get blue in the face and until either you guys start chiming in and agreeing with me or until you start chiming in and telling me to shut the fuck up. Bob Odenkirk is such a talented actor, dude. Such a talented actor. And when you have somebody like Vince Gilligan, who when they craft these episodes, they do a lot of silent moments. I love shows that do this. And all of my favorite shows right now, I think, have these quiet moments. Every moment doesn't need to have action, noise, and dialogue. When you have great actor like Bob Odenkirk, or like Jonathan Banks, or like Bryan Cranston, you can have these quiet moments with no dialogue and get so much out of the scene through the facial emoting and just the body language. Amazing. He did such an awesome job in that Pollo Hermanos scene where he's in there following that dude. Loved it. Bob Odenkirk is the man. I'm sorry. And that scene at the end, too, with him and Chuck, when he goes to Chuck's house and confronts him. Dude, that's not acting. That's becoming. It's just like how I said, and I don't know if I did a video on this, but I will. If you watch The Walking Dead, Rick's performance in Season 7, Episode 1 was not a performance. That's not acting. That's living. That's being the character. And, man, does Odenkirk do it in this episode. All right. So, like I said, I don't want to really do the recap with these episodes. I kind of just want to give you my opinion and let you guys go watch it or rewatch it and see if your opinion lines up with mine or whatever. Or we can get into a nice discussion in the comments. So, Odenkirk was amazing. So, he finally, he finds out about the Chuck situation. So, we're going to talk about Kim in this too, because Kim doesn't really have her own story in this episode. So, Kim gets confronted by the helper, Chuck's helper. His name is escaping me. He's like a younger, kind of nerdy looking black dude, glasses and all that. He's the one that found the recording in episode 1, and then Chuck was like, let me talk to you about something or whatever. So when they first played this out and he's in the car talking to Kim, I'm thinking that he's for real. But no, Chuck sent him there to do that. We learn that later when Chuck is talking to Howard, telling him how Jimmy's going to break in and steal the tape and all this. Because the purpose of that dude telling Jimmy or Kim was so that Jimmy knew about the tape, of course, knew what it consisted of, and knew where it was located. so that Jimmy could break in, go right for the tape, and then they can nab him for the break-in. That was the plan, and it worked. I mean, it may not have went down the way Chuck thought it was going to go down, and I think by Chuck's facial expressions, also Michael McKean, great performance. He looked like he thought Jimmy was going to kill him. He was scared. He didn't think Jimmy was going to come there that way. And I love the way they played that out, because that dude in the car, maybe he thought that's what he was doing. Maybe Chuck played him and didn't say, well, you're going to go to Kim and say this, this, and that. Maybe Chuck knew that this kid, if Chuck presented it to him a certain way, that this kid was going to go and tell Kim or Jimmy. I can see it going either way, but by the way that the kid behaves, I think Chuck played the kid into doing it. I don't think the kid really knew what he was doing. So, yeah, that was great. Oh, we got Francesca. That relates to Saul, so we'll throw it in there. Another Breaking Bad character who we loved. She was always the snippy receptionist for Saul, so it's nice to see that she's been with Saul all this time. It'll be interesting to see what happens between him and Kim, where they split, and why Francesca goes with Jimmy and not with Kim. We'll see, but I always like when they throw in these characters, especially when they're in substantial roles, which Francine will have probably a more substantial role than she did in Breaking Bad. All right, so I mean that's it with Jimmy. We got those. We got the Chuck scene, which was amazing. We got the scene where he helps Mike at El Pollo Hermanos. That was also great. And all of his little funny comments and his banter with Kim and with Francesca and with the clients. It's always good. It's always great stuff. Love it, every minute of it. All right, so let's move over. We talked about Chuck and Howard. I know last week I thought I said I didn't know if Howard was really with the program. And I'm still thinking I don't think he is. But maybe he was initially. But now I see him pulling away, now that he sees that Chuck is using all these resources just to get back at Jimmy, as opposed to using the resources and his time for what they should be used for, right? And you also see how annoyed Howard gets having to take off his stuff and all that. That actually harkens back to season 1, where Chuck tells Jimmy that Howard came to visit him, and he said Howard grounded himself and left his stuff, blah, 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 because he didn't believe that Howard would really do that. And now you're seeing at that time, Howard was kind of ass-kissing to Chuck to try to get him back in, in the fold. And you see here that maybe Howard is, you can see he's unhappy with Chuck through his reaction to having to take all that shit off, Yeah, so that's really all there is to say about that. They're definitely going to call the cops on Jimmy. And we'll get into that in my predictions video, which I'll follow this one up with. Okay, and finally, let's talk about Mike. Mike had dude, he was in half the episode. He got half the screen time. And he had 2 lines of dialogue the whole episode. Again, it goes back to being able to put on a performance and tell a story without dialogue. It's amazing that they get great talent, that can pull this off. Every actor cannot do this. I want to stress that. Every actor on TV or even in movies, even with these big name Hollywood actors, cannot emote with no dialogue the way that these characters on this show do. Many writers, even in Hollywood, can't write scenes crafted this meticulously and this perfect without any dialogue. It's amazing. There's hardly even any background noise. It's almost like you're watching a silent film. And who knows, maybe they got inspiration or they took cues from old silent movies to do this. I don't know. But it works so well. I love this show. I love this episode. We got Gus. Maybe not all in his Gus glory, but we got Gus back, which is also a nice, he's going to be obviously a main character in this season. If not for the rest of the show, I can see him being a major character. Maybe not a main character, but an important major character. As I think Hector will also be an important character going forward. We haven't seen Nacho or any of the cartel guys this season yet. which is a little strange. You know, you can't consider Gus a cartel guy. All we've seen so far is Gus and Gus's people. You know, Nacho and Tuco and Hector and the whole cartel crew, they were a big part of seasons 1 and 2. So I do expect them to come back into the fold, which I'll get into in the predictions, of course. But it's odd that we haven't seen them yet. So I'm missing them a little bit. All right, this episode, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. The only reason it's not getting a 5 is because there was no action. It would get a 5 if there was action, but we had everything else. We had drama, we had comedy, we had great action. We had action. We had great acting, great writing, as we always do. And yeah, it was a very, very well done episode, better than the first one. And I'm so excited to see what goes forward. All right, that's it for this video. Sound off down below. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Help me grow, people. I can't grow without your help. So I definitely need your support in feedback, telling me what works with the channel, what doesn't work with the channel. You know, just commenting on the videos. Like, share, subscribing gets me out there, which motivates me to do better videos and make more of them so we can get this going and get a real family set up here. All right, that's it for this video. You guys have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Yep, and I will see you next time.